Okay, my wonderful friends, Roger Spur at Mudfossil University. Mudfossil is all one word, and today we're just going to start right with the shocker and just move forward. Because everything I present is shocking because it completely changes our understanding of literally everything. And when you look at that, you say, ooh, look at that, Arches National Park, and what is this? Well, I see a strap and I see a ball. What do you see? This is a microscopic shot of a damaged tendon emplacement, which was here, pulled out, which is the ball, and it has a ridge around it. And the strap, of course, anchors it to here, and the tendon and muscle pull back and forth. Now, Giant's Causeway and all these places have these hexagonal patterned fibrils, which are nothing more than tendons, and they go to those balls. That's the anatomical, rendition of what these balls are, and they are anchors. And in every one of these balls, there's a whole bunch of little pockets and notches that really lock it in solid so that it just won't fall out of there. The straps are tough as they can be. There's what they call ligaments, which are bone to bone. In other words, like this bone right here, that's a ligament. It had another bone attached, and they could rock back and forth. It's all mud fossil stuff. And this is how I understood all this stuff, because these are truly exactly well, just like this goose, exact copy of what it was when it was alive, or duck, or whatever it is, quack, quack, and there's his neck. Now, you have to get things in the right light to be able to see the patterns and so forth, but you can see there's the feathers. Now, the things I'm saying are quite factual, and they're very, very evidential, and they are completely verifiable, so it's time to do it. Okay, I'm just going to punch down through these real quick. These are these stone balls. They're all over the earth, and I mean all over, and some of them have shells like this, but they all have an anchor at some point to hold them in position. Now, and I mean, I have so many of these things. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. All right, and they're inside. Normally, they were inside of a fleshy area in a creature's body, just like this right here. This is the red fleshy area. And these are what they call interstitium balls. There's other ones that are actually deeply involved in the tendinous area. And these are some tendon balls that are laying around. All right, they are all, I mean, they're everywhere. And they used to use them for slinger stones. Whoops. I gotta get out of there. Let's get back to here. Okay. And some of them were in areas where there was different types of metals and copper and so forth, which invaded some of the layerings at some points. I mean, I've got a lot of information on this. Then there's this type, which has this chert-looking stuff and an open core, and I believe these could actually somehow be a little bit flexible. And again, this is a brand new stuff. Nobody knows about this. That's what's going on there. They eroded from the top. The tops fell off. Everything seems to be layered. And now this one has two attachments. Some of them have two. Most of them have only one. Although I don't know. Again, there's a lot to look at. I'm not saying I have all the answers. These are the ones I think that has like the chert little blocks inside. And that are different than other ones. And they made plates out of these, the Chinese. They cut them, what's this one here? I think these are also tendon anchors. I'm sorry, the creatures that existed, nobody in their right mind would ever consider them, except me. Because maybe I'm not in my right mind, but I look at what I see. I don't just disregard it. Oh, that's just nothing. That's just the concretions of this and that. And that's what they do. They have a word they throw out and they walk away. And that I don't think is a tendon ball. I think that's literally an eyeball because of the layering, first of all, and secondly, because of the pinch on the corners. That's not normal on the tendon ball. But anyway, look at that sucker. And they're all over. They're all over the place. Not just one. And that's the kind that has the empty core center. Here's a buddy of mine sent me this, Lee Simpson. That's the kind that has that chert-looking center. There's another one Lee sent me, and these are pockets that are fairly natural. I don't know if these people cut them in there for seats or not. Because look at what he sent me. Look at this. That's the same thing. To me, that's basically the same thing. And that's a tendon wall. Thank you, Lee, brother. This one here, these are two side by side, tibia, fibia, something like that, and then they cut down the center. I don't know. I wouldn't say, somebody cut it, let's say. Now, Lily sent me this one, which shows the equatorial ridge exactly like Iapetus. All right, same as Iapetus. I don't want to bore you with all this stuff, but I got them coming out of my ears, and some of them have this kind of stuff. It depends on where they were when they were drying out and when they were soaked. Because if they were near a kidney or near a liver or near a heart or near some other type of chemistry, and there's all kind of biles and all kind of thing in your body, acids and salts and that will invade. It's called nucleophilic substitution. You start with something biological. That stuff is not stable. Not a single thing in you is stable. If you die, you want to either rot and something eats you and it turns back into some food and so forth, or it becomes stable in a manner called nucleophilic substitution, where something comes in and says, okay, I know you're weak, I know you need some extra electrons, here, I got a few, you hold on to me, I hold on to you, nobody's going to hurt us. That's stability. And that happens in all kind of different ways. You see this? And there's all kinds of different tendon emplacements in your body. This is literally skin. I am absolutely sorry to have to tell you all these things, but once you understand, you understand. Opal is a whole other situation. Opalization happens when you're dense in transition metals, because that's all these colors are, the transition metal colors. And these, you can see here, that was a tendon. You see the little equatorial ridge around it? And the stalk probably came right in here. And instead of it turning into sand and the other stuff we just saw before, it turned into opalization, which the transition metals invade instead of, like other type of minerals and so forth. And these are just gigantic balls too. They're laying around and say, ooh, I wonder how that happened, I wonder how that happened. Well, until you start to look into what our true past was and allow yourself to believe these things. They've all written about giant creatures. I mean, the stuff I show that the average human being, their mind closes. It just shuts right off. These are in Canada. These I haven't figured out. They look like seeds or something. I mean, it could be, actually, this is very close to what Ganymede looks like. I learn something every day, every single minute. You see this? This is the lower level of skin. Above this skin is these balls, which are called Interstitium balls. Look it up. It's brand new, and I literally discovered them from my Mudfossil research. They called these concretions. They're not. They're tendon balls, which are what is in the fleshy part of your skin, so that it goes back and forth. But they are locked in normally. Look it up. Interstitium. And that's what they look like. Now, sometimes they're got a lot of hematite, which is the black iron in them, because they're tough, they're hard. They've got to be anchors. They're anchors in you, anchors away. Look at that. And people look at these things all day long and they just absolutely in amazement. There's the stalk coming in right there. And they are everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. There is no space on the planet Earth that is not biological. I haven't found one single thing. None. Zero. Look at this. Stonehenge heelstone. It's a foot. And that's the blood is down here. It comes down into the foot this way. And you could get blood out of that spot too. And I have all kinds of feet and no toes. We've got new species. So this is just a shocker. What's this? Well, it could be a couple of different things. And they're cutting out these stone slabs. They really don't have any idea what they're cutting. They're just cutting them. They did that in the past too. Only they had different machines. Let me show you the machines they had. This is down in South America. These are in tendinous material that was wet. Obviously, when they were driving across it, it was wet. The machine sunk in. They had built-in tire tractors, you know, like a tractor trailer. I'm not a tractor. What do you call them? Tank treads. So the thing set down in, otherwise it would sink and never go anywhere. So they had additional to tires for going on the hard surfaces. They had these to allow it to settle in there and still be able to drive up and claw its way up the hill. And then they had stone cutters to cut off slabs over the side. Now, I don't know if they cut them off from this side coming this way and put it on this track and brought it down, or they had a machine on here to hang over and cut. But some way they did this. They cut the slabs, they moved the slabs, and they made the walls out of them. This is tendinous material. This is what they call slurpy, small leucine-rich proteins. That's a four-wheeler tire tractor. Tire going over there. Bloop, bloop, bloop. They made these things to do this job when, right after the flood, they came back and they mined all this stuff after it dried out and made walls and palaces and things out of it. It's quite apparent to me. All right, here's another shot. This is in Fuerte del Sampiato, Bolivia. Same machines, cutting slabs. And then they moved them in the back and made walls. They cut those slabs off of those tendons, and sometimes they missed and got some bone and blood and nasty stuff, which is this. And then this one up here is just a mess. But when they put them back together again and made these walls, they were like putty. And they put them in. That's why you can't put it. They're all crazy looking. Well, they were just the chunks they cut out the best they could and put them back, and they slapped them together. Now, some guys were really, really artisans. Let me show you this. And I can show you how the bumps occurred, too. All right, I'm not sure where this is, but my interpretation of this is that they were testing different types of tendon, and because these are the ones that have the straps. These, I don't think, this one, I don't know exactly what they started with here, but they're all tendinous or some form of tissue. And these are the straps that came and they went over to the balls and they snap them off. And that's why you see bumps all over the place. But I think this was like a test wall to see how are we going to deal with this stuff? What will it do if we scrape it all down, or if we do this? What if we leave things sticking out? Because this is, you can see the little pinch thing in there? I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is actually exactly what happens in biology. You've got a tube around the central core, you know, and there's membranes out there that keeps everything out, and it keeps that tube isolated inside that coating. And so now they're trying to figure out what are we going to do. And then I ended up deciding, it appears to me, to just break them right off at the top. And I think they might have pinched them a little bit or just left them there, and they are what they are now. You see this now? This guy was an artisan. Now, these bumps are those bumps. Now, they look like, to me, they pinched them, but they were still sort of wet, and they pinched them together a little bit so that they wouldn't bleed out, because they'll bleed out. The inside of them is a complete network of vascularization. And when these things, in certain conditions, they harden up and they don't do anything. But most of the time, the blood stays fluid. Not really fluid, but it will hydrate. If you if you get water into it, it will become like mud. That's what blood is mud. That's where blood comes from. I mean, mud is bloody tissue. Red clay and red mud is bloody tissue. Now this guy is over the top. He's taking pieces of these, pushing a knife like this, like this, like this, and then he takes another one and puts. Maybe he put them together at the same time and swished in it, and then just pushed them. I don't know, but this guy's good, real good. Now I talked about the transition colors. This is it right here. These are transition metals, and that have invaded what is called a tendon mat. Now, this is in China. I can't remember what, it's a desert over there in China, but what happened was after it flooded, it was immersed in probably something right next to the heart or the liver, because this is all blood. These are all colors of blood. Now, in a living tissue, it looks like this. All right. And this is Getty Images, and if I ever use anybody's copyrighted stuff, I want to give them credit, and a lot of times I have no idea who it is. So if you see something and you want to get credit, just tell me, and I'll put a little thing in there that says, oh, so-and-so sent me this, and I lost it. But anyway, this is what we just saw a minute ago, only all of these layers have become stabilized. Because see the different colors? Anytime you see different colors, it means that you've got a different chemistry. Colors are chemistry. Now, what is this blackish looking stuff? If we go back to that other one, which is up here, this is the blackish looking stuff on the edge. These are the little stripes that run down through tendons that have all different types of connective tissue chemistry. This needs to be really looked at a lot deeper. But anyway, that's just enough for this stuff. This is going to be the Mudfossil Mega Marathon. I'm done. It's time to do this and get it done and start to realize this is real. I'm not kidding around. And it's been 10 years of just absolute denial. So it's disheartening to think that everybody looking for answers and they don't want answers. Okay, most of them have one major attachment spot, and it's a round spot, and it has a major input in the center, which creates a dimple right in the center. It looks like a crater. Yes, it does look like an impact crater, but they all have this little dimple in the center. And even the ones that surround the outside edges have a similar look to them, where they have something feeding into them or a strap attached. I'm not sure exactly. And I don't think anybody is, but these tendon balls are the anchors of everything that's in your body, otherwise you fall apart. Okay, I'm going to just highlight something here today. This is a group called Stephen Hawking, and I wouldn't necessarily agree with a lot of the things that Stephen Hawking said, but this is a scientific group, and they're looking for scientific information, and I am presenting it, and they have been extremely gracious in allowing me to make statements. There's not been very much interaction because it's a little shocking, absolutely. But now this is what they're doing here, is up there on Jupiter's moon, Ganymede. This is all new. Now look at what we're seeing here. Remember I just showed you, I don't know if I showed you or not, but I will if I haven't, the patterning of the tendon anthesis and all the little dots which were in the center of them. And this is another, all I can say is, you see what you have here? This is, if you can account for this by every one of these being exactly the same type of crater, well, I just don't go with that. And they're now being able to see these things. Now, these real bright spots, I'm not sure whether that's blood. I don't think it's an impact crater. I don't think that's an impact crater. Although they could be. I can't say they're not, but I don't think so. We're seeing these bright spots. What is that? What is the chemistry there? Because that's going to be like when I showed you that tendon ball had all these little things going into it. Well, that's going to be some of these things, I think. I'm just guessing as much as anybody else at this point. So, but we need to do the investigation. We can't just say, oh, there's nothing, just the guy's crazy. No, because I have just way too much evidence. And again, they were extremely gracious. I posted, my explanation that this guy is talking about how incredible this stuff is, and it is. It's incredible. So I put this up. Moons are quite interesting. The patterns are a giveaway, and I studied them. And Saturn's moon Iapetus has this equatorial ridge, and they're sort of laughing at it at first. And then I put this picture up that shows that equatorial ridge in a tendon ball on Earth. This is nothing more than biology on Earth too. As far as I could determine, there is nothing more than biology. Now, I showed you before the strap. I don't know if I did or not, but I think I did. The strap attached to the ball, ripped from the anchor, and then I showed the, you know, they call this Arches National Park, I believe, out in Utah, I think it is. This is where the meat was, which was the tendinous area. Now, balls are much stronger than anything. They last forever. Straps, the tendon is usually pretty tough, but some of it will erode away depending upon the chemistry it's in, because its tendon is CaCO3, calcium carbonates. So you're down in this area. If you've got a lot of acidic things, it's going to eat that up. If you got a lot of stuff that's down in this area, it's going to try to find other metals to add all kinds of different things, concretions that make it look very crazy. But sometimes you just have 100% mud. Sometimes you have all kinds of little crystals. Depends on the chemistry and depends on what you started with to begin with. This doesn't happen all that often. Usually they use the tendon to make structures, to be honest with you. That was what things were built with long ago. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. All right, so now I went on, and nobody's throwing me off here. You got showing, you know, this guy's got standing on some big balls there, and they're all over the place because they were all over. There's thousands of them and thousands of them in every part of your body. You see this? They're everywhere, and they're every single place that anchors anything has a batch of these, hundreds of them. So they're everywhere. And Tyson out in Oregon, he's got them, and we're looking at them. These things are like basketballs. And there's the strap running from them. And then I showed the membrane that he's got out there. You know, we've been doing a lot of work. Well, he's been doing the work. I've been following him. And this is the lower layer of here, and then as you have aqueous solution, that's all gone. And then the upper layer was up 6 feet above. So this is not any puppy stuff here. This is serious. And now here, this is one of the moons, and this is a tendon enthesis right there. That's it. That's it right there. And I show it down here. So they allowed this, and let's see if they keep allowing it, because it's scientific as far as I can say. There's no more scientific than this. And if it's just dismissed and walked away from because it's too spectacular, or however you want to call it, but they have been so gracious to me so far, and that's basically the only one. And I thank them very much, and Rima especially. Thank you.